Hard to believe 10 years ago, dictator Saddam Hussein was found hiding out in a spider hole after years of war crimes. His capture, a momentous occasion for the free world.
Our next guest was a key commander in the hunt and capture of the late president of Iraq. He wrote about that operation in his new memoir, We Got Him. Retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Steve Russell joins us now. Colonel, thanks a lot for coming on. We're honored to have you. I remember really well. I was in Baghdad the day he was captured, and I remember being so impressed by what you all did. But I also remember wondering, and I still don't know the answer, how did he hide out for 6 months?
He was protected by half a dozen families that were related to him by blood, by marriage, and long association. And they formed the key social network around him. Much like a mafia don, he was protected by the family. And all of them were from the Tikrit area, and that's where he gained his support.
How did you guys find him?
Well, once we learned how that family network was and his system of bodyguards around it, it was just a matter of developing a strategy to go after those groups. And early successes showed that if we went after those key families, that we could get on his trail and it might be possible to get him.
So what was his reaction when you all grabbed him? Was he defiant?
Well, initially, he was stunned. He got a little uppity. At the hole when he was pulled out, there were a half a dozen soldiers led by a guy I'll call John, his team. When he was brought out of the hole, he was a little defiant when they were checking him for tattoos on his hands and tried to shove one of the soldiers away, a stupid thing to do. And so they straightened him out, and that's how he got the cut on his mouth and on his eye.
Excuse me, why were they checking for tattoos on his hands?
He had a 3-dot tattoo on his left hand for God Country Leader, which was also the national Fedayeen mark. And then on the back of his right hand, he had a sunburst tattoo. We all knew that he had those marks, so they were doing a quick check just for verification.
How did the soldiers keep it together in that moment, looking face to face with Saddam Hussein?
I think that all of us during that time were very focused on our mission. You realize going into the raid you've got the best intelligence that you've ever had, and there was an expectation during that day that this was the best chance we had had up to that point. So you're very focused on all of the things, all of the units that were involved.
Things really fell apart though after he was captured in that country. Talk about what led to that. Why did things just start to crumble?
Well, I think what you saw initially was Saddam was an inspiration to the Ba'athist-led insurgency. Many, and wrongly, were reading the violence in the Tikrit and Sunni Triangle area as being created by heavy-handedness. In the reality, it was Saddam and his groups that were trying to create turmoil where we would lose political will and go home. After Saddam was captured and so much of that network was thinned out, then the insurgency transitioned over to Zarqawi, who was with al-Qaeda, and it got very, very ugly.
Lieutenant Colonel Steve Russell, one of the commanders responsible for the capture of Saddam Hussein 10 years ago this week. Thanks a lot for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And check out his book, We Got Him. It's a fascinating look at this whole saga. Thanks so much.